You wanna know what I think the worst thing is the internet's doing to people right now? It's leading everybody to believe that everybody else is an idiot, especially people that disagree with them. Everybody's first reaction to somebody that disagrees with them is like, oh, you're an idiot. It's like, actually, the vast majority of people aren't idiots. They just either are coming from a different background, have a different belief system, have different reasons, have different, like, it's a whole variety of things. Assuming that somebody else is an idiot, especially when they're professional in their field, is like the worst mistake one person can make. And if everybody stopped just immediately claiming everybody else is an idiot, I think the world would be a better place.
So hi, I'm Alec. Hi. What's your name? Okay, thank you. So I'm working on 3 games, or 4 games, I don't know. But this is one of them. It's called Night in the Woods. And I was going to come and talk about sort of like a bunch of systems and technology stuff that we're building for Night in the Woods. And I am still going to talk about that. But I got really interested in kind of like a very different idea. If you don't know what Night in the Woods is, one way I like to describe it is it's a game about the inevitability of death and pizza parties. It's about a cat named May who drops out of college and comes back to live with her parents in the dead-end town of Possum Springs, and she's reconnecting with her teenage friends, but things feel different. People are starting to move on with their lives, and she's kind of trapped, and then a bunch of strange, mysterious things start happening around the town. So we actually kickstarted this game, and we asked for $50K. We got more than that. Mostly thanks to just really generous, awesome people who were big into what we were doing, but it gets even bigger. And so that there was for all the people who only care about the dollar signs. And now you can leave, because I'm not going to talk anymore about the dollar signs. So there's an exit there and an exit there. Really what I'm interested in talking about is what the fuck does it mean to be indie? We were talking about this at lunch, actually, because it's such a vague term. Everyone has their own definition of what it is. It's kind of a very personal thing. So I'm going to tell you a bit about what I think it means, but I'm also going to tell you a bit about what other people think it means. We're at a conference called Full Indie. What the fuck is that? But first, does anyone know what this is? Thank you. Yes. It is Exhibit A, a sine wave. What does being indie mean to you? I'd actually really like to hear what we have to think after the talk. If you want to come up and talk to me about this, I'd be kind of interested. But let's ask Twitter. We love Twitter. Let's go to Twitter and find out what they say. Indie means independent from large publishers utilizing a small staff and limited resources. To be able to make a living out of my own work. No pants. No money, maybe? No attention? I think obsession, creation, and hope are what carries many of us. No boss to tell me to get the fuck off Twitter. Relentlessly following a dream for 15 years, never giving up, and then finally being able to make it come true. That's a loaded question. Indie is now a genre. It's no longer an RPG made by an indie studio. It's just an indie game. Ha ha ha, oh yes, the word indie means nothing to me now. It's too broad. It tells me nothing about a game. Nobody is truly independent because we all depend on somebody or something, and it's okay as long as it doesn't spoil our creativity. So I'm just going to explain a bit what indie life is like for me, what my version of indie is a little bit. I live in this place in Richmond. It's called Indie House. I live with these people. That's Matt Thorson with the guitar, Noel Berry, Matt Thorson created Towerfall. Noel Berry is working on Skytorn. Chevy Ray created Flashpunk, and Hannah works at the Apple Store. But she's starting to actually kind of work on some game stuff a little bit. What's it like to wake up in Indie House? It could be any time of the day, because we just kind of stay up however late. If we're motivated, we'll stay up all night, pass out in the morning, wake up next night. And I'll go to like the living room, and there might be like a whole bunch of people playing board games. There might be nobody there because people might be visiting their girlfriends in different countries or whatever. Might hang out and work on this giant kitchen table that we have. And there's tons of board games and Lego and lots of Apple products for some reason. And I have this bike. I can go just escape if I want. And we live in the middle of like southwest Richmond near Steveston, so it's like totally far from everything, which I really like. So I can just kind of chill out, take my bag, and work on a laptop. I bought a piano. I like buying things I can actually use creatively. Sometimes I work at a Blends Coffee. I don't know if you guys have heard of Blends Coffee. They're a really great coffee shop. You should follow them on Twitter. So we don't really have like offices, right? And part of that, it's kind of peaceful in a way because you're working at home, and it's kind of stressful because you're working at home. Your work is your life. They bleed into each other. When I wake up in the morning, I'm confronted with my desk that has 3 monitors on it and blinking lights and dev kits and stuff. And part of the reason why we can do this no office thing is just because of the way technology works now. It's so portable. We can take it with us. It's not like that anymore. Look at how sad Columbo looks. In this scene, they're actually explaining that the computer has more neurons than Columbo has or something. It doesn't make any sense. But computers are just tools, right? And we also have game engines that we use as tools, but we can also build our own tools on top of that. And so I want to talk a little bit about coding and how empowering it is. But the power of coding is that you can build your own tools very specifically tailored to the kind of game that you're making, and that actually shapes your creativity with your game. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how that works in Night in the Woods. This is a system we have called Project Goose. There are the geese. So, this is a pretty simple thing where it's just a sprite animation of some geese and Scott made, and they go right to the left, and they're created in a V shape that can be randomized number of geese, and they kind of like move a bit like around though, like offset to each other, and for that we use a sine wave. We have procedurally generated cars because we had static cars that Scott animated, just 2, and the same 2 cars would be going by all the time, and I was like, why don't we just make a system where we can paste different pieces together and color tint them and stuff. So there's an example of some cars, and we randomized the drivers as well, the heads and the bodies. And these are some of the pieces that we have. And here's sort of like almost like a Richard Scarry kind of thing. And you'll notice that the cars are kind of bouncing up and down, and that's actually a sine wave. And what we actually sampled this sine wave at like a lower frame rate than 60. I think it's like 16 frames per second. And it kind of gives it almost like a fake sort of hand, like almost like it's not just a math function. Leaf Tech, we actually trademarked this one because we're so proud of it. And I think it's really going to pay off. This is the first version of it. We're not using any of Unity's particle systems or colliders. We're kind of doing our own weird stuff. And this is the cool thing about Unity is I can implement this, right? And I get it working kind of okay, like it looks all right, but then Scott can get a hold of all the parameters and tweak them so that they actually look a lot better. So in this case, he actually slows them down so you can kind of see them waving through the air back and forth, which is like a sine wave turned to its side. And we can also replace all our static leaves with these dynamic leaves. And as time goes on in the game, and the game takes place over a few different days, as you approach winter, the leaves are going to fall off and stuff like that, so that's kind of cool. SquirrelNet is our amazing artificial intelligence that runs these squirrels. This is the first ever SquirrelNet before they became self-aware and aggressive towards humankind. So you can see they just kind of like pick random nodes and go to, it's not that complicated. But you notice this here, these are jump nodes where the squirrel can decide to jump, and the jump looks a lot like a piece of a sine wave. Right? We also have power lines in the game that May can jump onto, and they react dynamically, bouncing up and down. And you can see our trademark Leaf Tech technology can interact with our power line. We had 2 different divisions working on it. It was a nightmare to manage, but finally got it working together. And this is actually, it's a mesh that we generate. You can see kind of the blue outline of the mesh and the white dots of the path. And you can see there's sort of like a sag. And of course, the sag. Let's actually look at the code for the ripples. What is this? Oh my God, it's a sine wave. In this case, it's actually a whole bunch of different sine waves. There's the sine wave to make the initial curve, there's the sine wave around her, and then there's 2 that get sent out when she jumps, right? And we're kind of like stretching and squashing them and messing around with them. We also have sprite text and speech bubble system because the game has a lot of text. It's a narrative-driven game, and I think a lot of people here are upset about narrative-driven games, so okay, all right. We really wanted to control the way that the text was framed because the composition of this game is super important, so we had to get this really precise. We're actually using Unity sprites to do this. We're not using their text stuff. Each character has 3 frames of animation, so they can kind of wiggle a little bit. And this is a system where we can basically change the way that different letters are animated, right? So you can kind of see they're waving. And vibrating and changing color and stuff, and we can spawn little like animated emoticons and all this, and of course, yeah. But you can also generate circles with sine and cosine. So that's how we actually made the real speech bubble shapes, and we can resize them, tweak the curves.
Rick Lewis, we're backstage at Hogfest here in one of these RVs, and as you can tell, Beth Chapman is with me from Dog and Beth on the Hunt, and we're keeping our distance from each other because I'm drinking a Crown and Coke, which I never drink, and Beth finds drummers irresistible.
Correct.
So we got to keep a little space here, because
a lot of space.
My wife and then Dog could punch me in the face.
Like the 2 most violent people in America, his wife and my husband. Right, so he'll sit over there and I'll sit over here and all will be well.
You know what's been amazing today? There's been a line for autographs with you guys and pictures for hours. It's been ridiculous. How many do you think you've signed?
Thousands, but one gal said she waited in line for over 4 hours.
That's crazy.
I know.
I know. 4 hours.
What is she thinking?
Yeah, I mean, just to get an autograph with you, I don't get it. What's the
don't
big
either.
attraction?
Really? I think it's my rectacularness. I think people just want to see it and experience it up close in person, which is why you're sitting over there.
That's why I'm sitting over here.
Exactly.
See, we have it's a 2-foot boundary right here.
Big distance.
Just
see
to make
that?
sure.
We're cool.
Yeah, I guess that would be an attraction, but also, dog's
Sort of
hair.
like Mount Rushmore.
You got to admit, dog's hair is pretty spectacular.
It is. It is actually epic. You have to experience it.
You really do. I mean, you see it on TV and it's like, wow, look at the hair. But when you see his hair in person, it's indescribable. It's incredible. And I've never seen his hair messed up. Have you?
Yes, actually.
Oh, really?
Yes, I have, this morning.
So he wakes up in the morning.
After I ravage him all night.
Okay, right. So his hair is messed up in the morning.
Yeah, sometimes I put it up in a bun and to rock it, like, rah, rah,
Your show
hang
premiered.
on to it like a ponytail.
Your show on CMT premiered on the 18th of July.
It did.
And you've got your daughter on the show now this year.
Yeah.
Who I love, by the way.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's a chip off the old block.
And Leland, of course, is back with you.
He is?
Yeah.
See his little daughter out there?
No, I didn't know who.
Yeah, so he's got his little daughter out there, and I started seeing the T-shirts would come over, and they've got this big giant Leia right in the middle. These big, huge letters. She's autographed.
Christie says that this is a lot of sour grapes by bail bondsmen and women who are losing business. What do you have to say to the governor about that?
Well, I have a couple of things to say about that. First of all, you can't make money off the backs of people who are poor because they're poor. They don't have any money to take, so you can't take something that people don't have. So bail bonds in the early years was designed for the poor. So we were an advocacy that helped people get out of jail when they couldn't afford to get out of jail. But as to his larger comments that we're sour grapes, I'm startled by those comments, and I'm actually saddened by them because obviously he has absolutely no regard for the people in his community, and he has no regard for the victims of these crimes because maybe he hasn't been a victim himself. But many, many months ago when this first came out, I wrote an op-ed to the newspaper, and I invited him to come on a ride-along with us, to let him see how dangerous and how much time it actually takes to bring these people back to justice at no cost to the taxpayers. So when he says something that immature and that self-centered, like I feel like he's just trying to deflect, you know, the
Kenny was a perfect kid. And look what's happened here. Look what's happened to my jewel. My nephew, who was an all-star pitcher. He's up there now in a cast. Why did you have to fight him for the pickle?
Why did I have to fight him? You fought him for the pickle, too.
I didn't fight him. I let it go.
Oh, you let it go. You tried to open that pickle jar just like I did. Everybody wants to be a pickle jar hero.
You broke his elbow, okay? Are you happy? He's just a different kid. His personality has changed. He's filled with angst. He's ready to explode. And you want to know why? The way he relaxes is the way all men relax. It's called ejaculation. He can't use the right hand, okay? This is his ejaculator, okay? It's done. It's in a cast.
Mr. Kenny's on lunch.
What the hell is this shit? Look, you call this lunch? Take your banana and shove it up your ass. Get out, get the fuck out.
He's crazy.
Leave me the fuck alone.
I don't even know him anymore. I'm scared to death of him. He can't masturbate. He can't make it come out.
He can't go left?
No, he can't go to his left. Can you go to your left?
Nah, nobody can.
No one
Really
can.
hard, you know.
It's funny, though. There's other things I can do lefty. I can eat lefty. I can brush my teeth lefty.
There's a big difference. You need rotation. You need tempo. You need feel. I don't know what's going to happen because he can't concentrate anymore. He told me today he doesn't give a shit about the SATs. He doesn't care about Stanford. He doesn't care about anything.
Wow.
He's lost his will.
You know, folks, I can think of no more fitting guest for our anniversary program than the world's greatest stuntman, daredevil, entertainer, and star of USA's network upcoming Super Dave's Vegas Spectacular. Did any of that make any sense? Here he is, a true American hero, Super Dave Osborne. Good to have you with us. Super Dave. Is this for me?
Yeah. Happy anniversary.
Wow, this is very elaborate. Shall I open it now?
Oh, yeah, you're going to
love
love
it.
it.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
You know, you always do this. You always bring us something very, very nice and very
you
thoughtful.
deserve it. It's a
Oh,
very
thank you.
special day,
That's
and-
very sweet of you.
You're going to love this.
Yep. Oh, boy, what is it? Looks like, is it a...
Well, what it is, it's a sand painting. And remember the show I was on with your mother and Hillary Clinton?
Uh-huh.
The Olympics, there it is right there.
There's Hillary.
And what?
All right. And this is, I guess that's my mom.
Yeah.
And that's you. And that's all done
What
in
we did,
sand.
yes.
Wow.
And that was put on, each kernel of sand was put on with a tweezers.
Kernel,
and
each
glued
kernel of
on.
sand, yeah.
Right.
That's beautiful.
And it was glued on, and it's
You know,
something
a
can
lot
hang
of
on the
people
wall.
don't take this kind of trouble when they select a gift.
Well,
You really put a lot of thought and a lot of work into this,
You
and
know,
I appreciate
I
it.
knew you were going to say that.
That's
but
very
A,
nice of you.
A, you happen to be very sensitive, and I went to the trouble of getting you something that you'll always remember.
I appreciate
and it's
that.
important.
That's just great.
Otherwise, I might as well have run through a department store and picked up something.
You know,
and
not
given
a
it to
lot of
you.
people do that. Paul,
And
what
that
did you
shows
did you
no
get something?
respect.
Paul, what did you
Yes,
get?
Actually, it's beautiful. It's perfect. Thanks, Super Dave.
What did you say, Dave?
I just wanted to talk about my book, and it's way over there.
It's right over there. Yeah, it's about 4 feet away from you.
It's tough for me to get.
Well, we'll send a guy over to get it.
Okay, fine.
I was just about to reach for this book.
Oh, I'm sorry. I
mentioned.
thought I was going to have to reach in front
No,
of you.
no, no. In addition to being a daredevil and a super entertainer, you happen to also be a very successful author, and I think this is maybe about your 10th book.
Well, this one is a very important one because, you know, when I do have free time, which is not a lot.
No, you're a guy on the go. You are. I mean, you can see that.
I've been watching people make fun for quite some time of high-powered attorneys. They think just because they make a lot of money that they don't have souls and they don't have hearts.
They really have become the butt of a lot of jokes.
Yeah, and I don't
haven't
like
they?
that. I know a few of them, and they're decent people. So I'm doing a series of books. I'm going to do a book on Leslie Bailey, a book on Alan Dershowitz, a book on Johnny Cochran.
These are the real powerful lawyers in the country today.
And
the high-profile guys. The ones who tackle the big controversial cases.
Absolutely.
Making all that legal money.
And the book that I've got coming out next week is a book on Robert Shapiro. And this young man has done something.
Is this the one we're talking about?
Yes, it is. Well, before I show you the book, I want to talk to you about basically what's gone into this. Robert Shapiro has represented many people: O.J. Simpson, Darryl Strawberry, Marlon Brando's son, Robert Evans, the producer, and he didn't reach these people at their apex when they were hot. He caught them on the way down.
Right.
And it's very emotional for him to do that.
I'm not sure I can do this, Sam.
No one wishes to pressure you in any way, sir. The decision is yours. But before deciding, might I suggest that you take a moment to get to know the symbiote that wishes to blend with you.
This is her?
Actually, you only see the host. The symbiote's inside her.
Inside her?
Talk to her, Dad. Get to know her.
If you agree to the blending, we could be together for a very long time.
You don't look so good.
You are no vision of beauty yourself, sir.
Sorry.
I'm the one to whom you should be talking.
You are the one I'm talking to. Why did your voice change like that?
That's the host talking now.
I am Sarouche. I'm in the position to help you most.
How's that?
I will die. Selmac will live on. You will take my place as host.
I don't understand.
Selmac is a wonderful talker. She is selfless and caring. She's good company. She has a wonderful sense of humor.
Well, that's good, Dad. You can sit around for hours cracking yourself up.
That's funny.
She's not far wrong. I've had almost 200 years of laughter thanks to Selmac. I'm biased, of course, but I believe Selmac is among the best educated of the Tok'ra. You will probably be overwhelmed with the knowledge and wisdom you will gain upon blending.
So I get all of this thing, what did you call it in her head?
Symbiote.
Yeah, I get all its memories and stuff?
Yeah, Dad, something like that.
Then I won't deceive you, sir. We have some pretty awful things buried in our memory.
Such as?
Memories of countless go-old atrocities. The loss of the host before me, and you will feel the mourning for my loss.
Will you excuse me, ma'am? I'm sorry. I didn't want my future, I guess you could call her soulmate, to see me like this.
Dad, you don't have to do this.
Yes, I do. My only other choice is death. And that's not acceptable. Look, don't worry. It's not just hearing all that stuff that made me lose my stomach. It's the chemo. And the trip through that damn Stargate thing.
I assess and maintain the technology warehoused in this facility. I don't report directly to Nina Sharp, but indirectly, sometimes I do.
Mr. Hastings.
Doctor. It's Dr. Hastings.
A sublimation device from this facility was provided to known fugitives. Are you aware of this?
No.
I do not believe you. Restrain him.
It was an outdated model. I didn't know what they were using it for.
You wanted to help them. You admire them. You admire Dr. Bishop.
Yes. I admire him.
Where is Nina Sharp now?
I don't know.
Your loyalty will be rewarded.
I don't know. I know where she is.
I still think he looks familiar.
Yeah, that looks like Gohan.
Come on, let me take a look.
Yeah, he's got the same hairdo. I was noticing it through the binoculars, but I can't anymore because you took them. I would like them back.
It is Gohan. How could I have missed it? It's been him all along.
Gohan? No way. If that is him, I bet he just signed up secretly and borrowed the name.
Raza, why would he do something like that?
Well, because he's shy. That's why.
If he's not Saiyaman, he's soon gonna be in big trouble.
Nothing fixes trouble like cheering. Let's hear it.
You can do it, Gohan! You can do it! Go, Gohan! Yeah!
You can do it, Gohan! It's him. I can feel it.
But how do they know it's me?
I guess my disguise isn't any good without the covering on my head. Oh well, I won't be needing these shades anymore.
All right, at last I'm finished here. Huh? Oh, hello, you're Hakume Heki, aren't you? Hey, what's wrong? Do you have a stomach ache?
It's not that. Aren't you even annoyed by all this? I mean, come on, you've been doing nothing but cleaning these toilets for half a month now. Guess it's true. Maybe women really are better suited for this kind of work. You're a woman, so why did you take the national exams?
Well,
It's because of you taking the exam that I only ranked 4th. Me, the one hailed by everyone as a child prodigy. It's a total embarrassment to have placed below someone who's now in charge of cleaning toilets. Who's there?
My name is Bubble Man. Look, and you're interfering with my big master plan.
Bubble Man?
That's right, look, and you're not welcome here. Fear my bubbles! How dare you! You burst my bubble! I'm gonna have to teach you a bubble lesson! Now let's see what you're really made of! Soon Mega Man will be going down the drain, and mankind too!
Mega Man, are you alright? Whoa, what is that? Dimensional area generators! This is bad.
Look.
So you want to play? Well, synchro chip in. Download.
Hey, wait a minute, don't do it yet, Lan.
Too late. Cross fusion. It's time for me to burst your bubble.
We'll see about that. I'm going to show you and all humans the power and majesty that is me!
Power and majesty?
Majesty, who are you kidding? What exactly do you want anyway?
To create fear, panic, and bubbly chaos.
Okay.
I'm gonna reverse the flow of water. Every fixture in the city will overflow.
Why would you do that?
A city of fountains, and I will be their master!
That is the most ridiculous evil plan I've ever heard. You are such a bubblehead!
Yeah, just you wait. When your bathroom explodes and you're in there, you'll regret the day you met Bubble Man.
Thank you very much. And now we have that fun opportunity to talk about the 2016 election with Justin Raimondo. Raimondo is an author and editorial director at antiwar.com, where he writes a regular column. He's also a regular contributor to the American Conservative and Chronicles magazine. He has also written a handful of books on U.S. foreign policy, as well as on the conservative movement. And his talk today is titled Israel and Foreign Policy Issues in the Presidential Campaign.
Let's do a little experiment. Now, I realize that what most people remember about the recent Republican presidential debates is the vulgarity, the inanity, the name-calling, the references to hand length. But there have been a few moments of lucidity when history has been made, precedents have been set, and yes, even reasons for optimism have been highlighted. Although these may have been lost amid all the brouhaha and the liberal moralizing. So on to our experiment. Which candidate said the following? Quote, as president, there is nothing that I would rather do than to bring peace to Israel and its neighbors generally. And I think it serves no purpose to say, but you have a good guy and a bad guy. Now, I may not be successful in doing it. It's probably the toughest negotiation anywhere in the world of any kind, okay? But it doesn't help if I start saying, I am very pro-Israel, very pro, more than anybody on the stage. But it doesn't do any good to start demeaning the neighbors, because I would love to do something with regard to negotiating peace, finally, for Israel and for their neighbors. And I can't do that as well as a negotiator. I cannot do that as well if I am taking sides, end quote. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a few seconds to contemplate the answer. I mean, here is a rare example of a Republican candidate speaking reasonably, rationally, in a statesman-like manner about one of the most controversial issues in American politics. Here is someone who is defying the bipartisan consensus on Israeli-American relations, which is that we must always give unstinting and unconditional support to the Jewish state. Here is an outright abrogation of the conditions of the so-called special relationship, that one-sided love affair that dictates Washington must kowtow to Tel Aviv and ignore the horrific conditions under which Palestinians must live. Okay, you had enough time, so what's the answer? Who would dare to step on the third rail of American politics and defy the Israel lobby? The answer has to be Donald Trump, doesn't it? And indeed it is. He said it in Houston. He said it in Detroit. He said it on Fox News. And the two other main contenders attacked him for it, both Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. And of course, they didn't have a substantial criticism. There can't be any. After all, how can one argue against even-handedness? Cruz merely repeated his pledge to give Israel everything it wants and more, while Rubio repeated the Israeli embassy's talking points. Hamas is evil, Hezbollah is terrorist, and of course, moral equivalence is immoral. In short, the usual nonsense, as if the Palestinians and their local allies have no right to resist the occupation. Yet Trump stood his ground. He's repeated his position in at least 2 debates, and wonder of wonders, has suffered not at all for it at the ballot box. It was quite astonishing after the one debate. They have a North Carolina primary, and Trump is finished part 99, and of course he wasn't, was he? He is the front runner by a country mile, and the only flack he's gotten over it has been from the usual suspects, the neoconservatives, who you just heard about, who hated him anyway and are among his loudest detractors. Bill Kristol's so-called Emergency Committee for Israel ran an ad attacking him, but not interestingly enough, over his support for even-handedness in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They didn't want to go there. That's because Trump has single-handedly changed the terms of the debate without hardly anyone noticing, and of course, without hardly anyone giving him any credit for it. Israel is no longer the third rail of American politics, not since the rise of Donald Trump, which no candidate dares step in for fear of his or her political future. How did he do it? By simply and fearlessly telling the truth. Of course, some people did notice. The Israel lobby, first of all, and in Israel itself, panic has set in. An interesting piece by Kemi Shalev, usually one of the more reasonable Zionists, notes that, quote, in their Super Tuesday speeches, Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio tried to use an Israel hammer to bash Donald Trump. Cruz sneeringly lambasted him for saying that he would remain neutral, while Rubio trounced Trump for trying to stay impartial, as his audience booed accordingly. And Trump? Trump was racking up victories, amassing delegates, and laughing all the way to the top of the Republican presidential field. I'm still quoting.
Oh, hi. I'm Fran, Amber's daughter. Ever since Mum started going out with Tony, it's been pretty full on getting used to this crazy new family life.
I've hardly had any time for my main hobby, metal.
I'll tell you why I love metal. It's shiny, it's cool, and you can find it underground. This is a perfect example of how cool something can be if you just add a little bit of metal. It's good. It is good, no denying that. But it needs something more. Transportation. Again, with metal. But it still needs one more thing. I know.
Bidding starts at £10,000. Any takers? Doll not included. Any takers?
I'll take it for free!
Friends, metal, mad!
You've got my number.
Look, be realistic. She's a pop star. If you want to impress her, you're going to need to stand out.
Hurry! Help!
have you done?
Oh, Oakley! That is some funky hair.
Funky? You can't get worse than that.
Sorry we're late.
Why are you blue and smell of roast dinners?
The idiot dyed his hair blue. Then the idiot tried to fix it with this.
You dyed your hair with gravy.
Put this on, we've got a video to make.
What if I hang by the stage door and wait for her?
And say what?
And say, why are you ignoring me? Is this something I did? Please tell me. Please, Maya, I'll do anything.
I think that's a bit much.
So, lose the t-shirt?
Maya! Ta-da!
Whoa, what happened to your face? Why can I smell roast dinners?
Listen, there's something I've been meaning to say to you. I wrote it down to make sure I get it right.
My hair.
Wish me luck. Basically, I think you are...
What? What?
Tasty.
You think I'm tasty?
No, well, yeah, but...
Get away from her!
Wait, I know him.
It's all right, miss. Leave this to us.
Wait.
Call me. Yeah, you got another one here. This one smells like roast dinners.
Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back if you're new here. You tried, I mean, it kind of worked.
Hey guys, Mo from the future here. So, obviously, spoiler alert, this is some behind the scenes stuff from the TV show Almost Never. So if you haven't watched that yet, make sure you go watch that first. You can binge watch it on the BBC iPlayer. You can binge watch the whole series right now. So stop this video, go watch it, and come back to this. We good? We done? Okay, also another quick thing, make sure you subscribe to the official Almost Never YouTube account, which I will link down below for official videos. Anyway, see you guys later. Bye! Enjoy the video. Hey! Hi! Hi everyone. So today, we're on set. Do you want to say hi to the camera? Guys!
Hey.
So today we're on set and we're going on tour. We're going on a tour bus because we're going on tour. Oh! Woo! Woo! Here's the tour bus. Let's show you what I found.
Oh, leather.
Whoa! This is nice.
Film me. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry.
Snap, we got a TV. Ow. This is nice. This is not what I imagined, but it's nice. How do you feel?
Girls, look, we're in the tour bus.
I feel so. I'm just so. This smells good as well.
It does smell. I'm sorry.
It's a party bus in here. Hello.
Oi! Get it started.
It's lovely.
This is what I was meant to have for my 16th.
Where's Lola gone?
This is so cool. There's Wi-Fi.
There's Wi-Fi.
Stopped fridge and everything.
Mad tour bus. Whoa, TVs, stereos. This actually mad in here. Whoa. Got the driving quarters up front. Guys, there's a bar down here, you know, fully stocked and everything.
I'm coming.
And a microwave and another fridge. Coffee machine. Look at the bus. Oh, we've got nice seats. Oh my god.
Love it so much. Let's go.
All right, let's go. Wait, they're probably calling me.
Come on a tour of the bus.
Okay, so can you explain where you are right now? Okay, so today I will be showing you around my tour bus of Girls Here First. These are my...
Hello and welcome to Comic Culture. I'm Terrence Dollard, a professor in the Department of Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Pembroke. My guest today is artist Tom Lyle. He's a professor of sequential art at the Savannah College of Art and Design. He's been with us before. Tom, welcome back to Comic Culture.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Tom, your career is one where you've been working in comics for over 30 years, and you're also an academic. Last time we had you on the show, we showed you some classic cartoon work from some of the great artists in comic books, and had you sort of give us the scholarly artist overview of them. And I'd like to do that again today if you're game.
I'm game for it. Let's try.
Okay, so first I'd like to talk a little bit about anatomy, which is something that we always think about, the superheroes, the figures and everything, but there's an art to drawing bodies in motion. So I thought we could take a look at a page by Jack Kirby and perhaps get what your thoughts are when we see that.
Well, the one thing Jack's really good at is everybody moves extremely, but it looks comfortable and normal even though they're moving in an extreme manner. So like, your big creature is moving big, the Thing moves big, Reed Richards moves big, everybody's got limbs forward and stuff like that. I even love his flying figure for Torch in panel 1, but he does really good with stuff like using parallels of like the Torch's anatomy in panel 2, where it cuts across all that black placement of the critter. And it just makes a nice contrasting line. But man, the Thing is just awesome. I love the way he does those. Like, I don't know what you want to call them. The big squares on him. But Jack had his own anatomy. I mean, he has those knees that he draws, and which Sinnott is downplaying at this point. And but I like his anatomy. I think it's fun.
Well, that's what the question I was going to ask, because we are used to now, I guess the contemporary cartoonists are, well, they're almost photorealistic in their illustrations, whereas Jack Kirby is, well, he's just got his own view of the world, and when you look at that, it works for what he's doing, but it obviously would be kind of weird in real life.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that Jack started doing that bothered me a little bit is, like, Reed Richards goes from being a skinny scientist to a steroid user, and I wish he was still drawing Reed a little skinnier, but yeah, Jack's anatomy is a little bit over the top, and it gets more over the top. Jack, actually, his biggest problem was he became a caricature of himself eventually, but not at this point. He's still at his prime right here. But the super realistic guys right now, I find kind of boring, and I miss some of the Kirby-esque dynamism.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed that one shot of the Thing, I think it's the fourth panel. You've talked about foreshortening before, and I was wondering if you could just kind of give us a sense of what that is on that panel, because the fist is sort of coming at us, but the arm is not as normal, as long as it normally would be.
Right, but he's good at, like, some of my students always want to make the fist about twice as big as Kirby did, there, and so they overemphasize it. But Jack has it just about the right size, just to look like this guy's coming at you with an intent to hurt you bad. And then I like the right arm going back with the foreshortening away from us, but he's also got that right knee coming at us. I mean, he's really good, and the black placement helps accentuate it up underneath the left arm with the fist is out. But Jack really was good at foreshortening. I have to admit. I mean, I love a lot of what he did with that.
Now, on the other side of the spectrum is the next piece that we'll look at, which is, I believe it's an Atari Force piece by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, and his art is as different as it can be from Jack Kirby.
It's funny, when I first encountered Jose, I was like, about his, because I was still a Kirbyite, and then Jose took over the Titans for Perez when Perez moved over to the New Titans book. And I just remember seeing an illustration he did. I think it was of Wonder Girl pointing directly at the camera. And speaking of foreshortening, the foreshortening he did was phenomenal on her arm. And he's even got some good foreshortening here on the guy reaching back, grabbing him in panel 6 there, or I guess it's 7 technically, with the bad guy where it says trapped. I like that. And then the rat critter jumping towards us in panel 7 is kind of cool. 8. But I like, he takes realism and pushes it a little further, because I love the way he uses the guy's mouth in the last panel on the page.
Right, as he takes a fist to the nose. It's interesting when you see his artwork, because it does seem like, this could happen in the real world at that extreme moment.
Yeah, and the weird thing about this, though, is I've seen some of these pages in black and white, and I hate to say it, but the coloring hurts a lot of his work here because they've used what's called a knockout at the bottom of the panel on the bottom left, where two of the characters are just gray, or one's just gray, and then the other one's kind of got that bluish whatever color. And it's like, oh man, it just takes away so much of his detail and power. So I'm not a huge fan of the coloring on this, but I love his choreography here. With the first 3 panels, the choreography of that fight is awesome.
And so we talk about color. When you see something that's knocked out like that, is that done for time, or is that done as like an artistic choice by the colorist?
It was a common practice back then. It was actually called a knockout, and it was to simplify things so that your page didn't become just all local color. And by local color, I mean the actual colors of the objects.